Welcome back to Sakimas Ridge Homestead. In today's video, we're going to address a few issues we've got with our TC33D tractor. We've had these issues since we bought it about a year and a half ago, and it's time to finally take care of them. So come along, let's get a few things done. Hello, and welcome to our channel. We're glad you're here. Well, this is supposed to have the deluxe style 3-point arms on it. This one still has the handle and the pin through it, but it's supposed to be set up in this position, and when you squeeze it, it lifts this pin and allows these to telescope in and out. It's pretty beat up and twisted. I think what's happened in the past is this arm has come over and contacted the tire, and the tire's flipped this around. I've actually had implements on here before and have heard this bouncing around as it hits the tire. So we've got this one to redo. And on this side over here, it just has a bolt in it, so it doesn't move at all. So we need to take this bolt out, put all the new parts on. Okay, I got all the new parts. I bought two of the covers since that one's so bent up. There's washers. There we go. 2 washers and 2 of the new big pins. The only thing I didn't buy for these was the cotter pins, because I have cotter pins. There's 2 springs that go underneath the handles, and 2 roll pins that hold them on. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and replace everything on this side so I know how it all goes, and then I'll show you how I do the other side. Okay, that wasn't bad at all. Here's how they're supposed to operate. Just squeeze it down there. You can slide that out. Adjust your 3-point to go on your implement. And when you're done, if you just back into it, it's supposed to relock like that. So this side went pretty well. I'll show you how I did the other side. Okay, the first thing we need to do is remove this piece of wire that was in here holding this pin in. Pull the pin out and pull our old cover off. As you can see, the new cover actually fits inside the old one, it's so bent up. So again, our parts are our cover, the little spring, the pin, washer for the pin, a roll pin that holds the cover on, and I don't have a cotter pin big enough, so for temporary measures I'm using a hairpin to hold the big pin in. So to start, take our cover and our spring, hook the spring in this little loop on the back of the cover. And then on top of the arm here there's a hole. We can put the spring down in that hole, swing this around, and drop it over the top. Then we take our big pin, stick it through the cover, through the arm, goes out the other side. Take our washer, put it on the pin, take our hairpin, pop that in there, just for temporary measures. Like I said, I need to get some big cotter pins. Then we take our roll pin, drive our roll pin through here. Now I've got a Allen wrench just to stick through the back side to line that up. We take our roll pin, and I'm making sure, I don't know if it matters or not, but I'm putting the groove down, so that way it doesn't lay this way and get full of dirt and water when I'm using the tractor. So I figure if it's down, that'll help keep this cleaned out. Stick that on my Allen wrench, tap it in to get it started. Allen wrench wants to pop out of the back side. Okay, now it's starting into the arm. I can take my Allen wrench out and just drive this all the way in. Okay, once it's flush on this side, I'll need to squeeze the other side a little bit. But there's our spring operation. And that slides right out, pops in like it should. So once I replace these hairpins with some good cotter pins, this job will be done. All right, now that we're done with those lift arms, we'll do a quick oil change on this. Try and show you the drain plug underneath the engine here. It is right here. It's a 17 millimeter. I already cracked it loose because there's no way I could do that and hold the camera at the same time. So we'll pull this drain plug out of here. Let that drain. While it drains, we'll go ahead and pull the filter off the side of the engine. Now, fortunately, the oil drain and the filter, which is that round unit right there, are close enough together that you can drain them both into the same pan. Now, this filter is none too easy to get to and or light when you're trying to film it. There we go. I've used one of these claw type filter wrenches to get in there and pop it loose. I've already popped it loose, so I should be able to get it by hand now. Yep. I said they definitely bury this filter in there. Should be able to get it out where my hand is, which I could. Put it in the drain pan, and I grab my new filter and a towel to wipe off where the filter came from. And then this is the oil filter, or the fuel filter. I don't know if you can see where this red line stops. That means the whole bottom of this is full of water. So we'll pull this fuel filter off as well and drain this water out. I've already wiped the block off where the filter goes. I've coated the O-ring on the new filter with a little bit of oil. I've always used oil to coat the filter with, not new oil for some reason. I think someone told me that back in the past. This filter on, good and tight. Okay, now we'll take care of this fuel problem here. This is a fuel shut-off. Turn that 90 degrees, that stops fuel from coming into the bowl. Doubt I can get it by hand. Nope. So, get a big set of channel locks in there. Crack that loose. And again, the drain pan is still below us from the oil. So this can drop right in that drain pan. Pull this fuel filter loose. Now I'm not going to change the filter because I don't have a new one. Probably easier to pull the filter off to get it out. Okay. Now we can bring this housing out of here and I'll show you the water that's in it. Okay, with the filter out of the tractor, I think you can see that pretty clear line there. The reddish pink is diesel fuel, and this nasty cloudy stuff on the bottom is water. Focus only on the fuel filter bowl. Pay no mind to the mess in the background. So that's the reason for this clear tube like this, is you can see when you get water in there and it keeps it from going in the engine. Now unfortunately there's a plastic cover that goes on the side of the engine which covers this up, so you really can't see it until you pull that cover off, which you don't do that often. So that's way more water in there than I would care to have. But we'll dump this water out, clean this filter housing out, and put it back on. It's got a little stem that it hooks on in there. And the cup goes back on the bottom, the O-ring in it. Thread that on loosely, open that valve back up, and let fuel run in there until it bleeds out of the top. And then tighten this up. That should hopefully get as much air as possible out of here so that it will restart. And maybe I won't have to bleed the air out of it. Snug this back up with the channel locks. Okay, turn the fuel back on. Okay, that should be ready to run. Sorry, I was looking at that instead of the camera. I'm not sure what I filmed there. But now you can see that the fuel filter is all nice and red, full of fuel like it should be. Got our oil filter in and tight. Let me crawl back under there and put the oil drain plug back in. I don't think you need to see me do that. Get it tightened up, and then we'll fill this up with oil. The oil fill on this is up on top of the engine here in the back. I'm pretty sure this takes 4 quarts, so we'll put a gallon in it, see where that puts us. I use Rotella T6 diesel oil. It's the same thing I use in the F2 or F350. And of course, Rotella T6 has been 5W40. Well, the truck and the tractor, I believe, call for 15W40. And now, Rotella has a 15W40 in T6. So the last oil change I did on the truck, and now this oil change on the tractor, I'm switching them both over to the 15W40. But it's still the T6 full synthetic. So we'll put this in here, check it, and see where we're at. And when we're done with the oil change, I'll show you a leak I found this weekend and have hopefully repaired. And also take you a walk around and show you the other little things I did this weekend. It's been a busy tractor weekend. If you like our videos, now would be a good time to click a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you shop Amazon, which I know we all do, we have an Amazon affiliate link you can click. If you go there, that'll take you straight to Amazon. And anything you order, the channel gets a little kickback on, and it doesn't cost you a cent more. And I will, if I can find any, I'll put Amazon links to anything I've used here, such as the oil and even possibly the oil filter. And maybe the hydraulic fittings. So there's a gallon. Let me check the dipstick and see where we're at. It's over here on this side of the engine near the bottom, so it's well out of camera range. Wipe that off. If you can hear Sakima in the background barking or not. That puts us just below the hash marks, so it's probably going to be about 4.5 quarts, maybe 5 quarts. Let me start this up. Let it fill the filter and run for a second, and then we'll see where we're at. And that'll also tell us if we're going to have to bleed the fuel system, or if purging the air out the way I did was enough to keep it from giving us an issue. So everything's clear. Let me start this up, make sure I get oil pressure. I'll look underneath for leaks, and then we'll check that again. Okay, it ran installed. That means it ran out of fuel that it had. So we will end up having to bleed the fuel system a little bit. I had to kind of look around there. I was showing a few drips on the floor, but I don't think it's actually leaking. When I filled it up too fast, and a little bit of oil ran out from underneath the funnel down onto the ground. So I think that's what I'm seeing dripping. So let's check the dipstick again, see where we're at. Okay, we're right about here, a little above halfway on the hash marks. I'm assuming, like most other engines, that this hash mark is a quart area. So we'll put about 1/2 quart in it and see if that fills us up. But before we do that, I'll go ahead and show you how to bleed the fuel system, since we've introduced air into it. This isn't going to be very easy to see at all, but I'll do the best I can. This is the air cleaner, and this is the power steering reservoir. In between them here is a 12 millimeter, like a banjo bolt, like you'd have on a brake line. That is the fuel hose coming up from the filter. So you need a 13 millimeter wrench, and we'll crack that loose. Make sure it's loose. And then we will crank the engine, and we should have air and fuel bubble out of there eventually. And here, try and start, so it should be getting fuel. So let me tighten that up. That's pretty snug. Try and start it again. Yeah, there we go, fired back up. So that's how you bleed it. So there's our oil change and our fuel filter dewatered. Now let me show you some of the other things I did this weekend to the tractor, including that leak. Okay, I know this isn't the greatest for you to see in here. Peacocks flying all around me. But these 4 lines here are the ones that go up to the front end loader. And let me mention right now, I have the loader up all the way for filming purposes. Normally, you do not work on a tractor with the loader up. It's just too dangerous. They do make blocks you can put on the cylinders to make sure it stays up. But to leave a loader in the up position like this to work on it is not a safe thing to do. It's only up so that I can show you these things. But these 4 lines here, like I said, go up to the loader, and underneath here are 3 lines. There's 2 solid lines here, and this one is a quick connector. Now, if I'm not mistaken, one of these is the pump line. I believe this line here is the pressure line that goes up to the loader valve. This line underneath is the tank valve that returns unused fluid to the tank. So when you run a cylinder up, the other side of the cylinder has to bleed that fluid off, and that's where that fluid goes, is back to the tank in this line. Now this top line here is what they call the power beyond line. That's the line that provides power back to the 3-point lift. Now in my situation, this tractor has a backhoe attachment. So I unhook this coupling, take it under the tractor, and there's a line that comes from the backhoe that hooks into this power beyond line, and that's what provides power to the backhoe. Now this is the fitting that was on there. I've had a leak pretty much since I got the tractor, and I thought it was this bottom line leak in this return line. Turns out it was that quick coupling dripping down onto that line. So here's the coupling. I'm hoping you can see this. Down inside of there, near the bottom, there's a black O-ring. That O-ring seats around this part of this coupling here. And it's subtle. I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera. It might be glaring too much. But there's little pit marks in a couple places, and a pretty good groove worn in this place that's supposed to be sealing on this fitting. So when this is coupled together, what was happening was it was bleeding past the O-ring because of those grooves and soaking up around this quick connect coupling and dripping down onto the other line. So I got a new one of these today and fixed that. So hopefully that will stop that hydraulic leak. I did remove all 3 of these lines and all 4 of the lines that go to this side, the back side of this loader valve that go up to the loader control valve. Pull you off the tripod here. Behind this cover, is the loader valve. So all, or 7 of those lines come up through this plastic and attach underneath here. I took all those off to clean them up, and also one of the projects I did was this treadle pedal. You can see I've got a new bolt here and a new bolt there in the back. Those are the stop bolts for this. They still need adjusted. There's a little bit of slop in this pedal. There's a link that comes up this way and a link that comes this way. There's a pin here and a pin here. Those 2 pins are worn in a groove, so that gives you this little bit of slop. But this pedal was flip-flopping all over the place. The bushings underneath were bad. Not sure if I can show you those or not, or at least where it hooks in under here. You can see those 2 new bolts and this black piece right here in between them. That's the shaft that rides on. There's like 2 nylon bushings in there that were completely shot. So I pulled all that apart and replaced those bushings to make that treadle pedal a little tighter. And then you can see that black spray painted nut there, and there's 2 in the front. Those were broken off bolts. I had to take this plate here out from under the tractor, which is why I had to take all these hydraulic lines out of my way and weld new nuts on that because those were broken off. This little shiny clevis right there is the new parking brake cable. This tractor never had a working parking brake. What you do is you push down on the brake pedal, and then under the seat here there's this little red handle. You push down on the brake, pull up on this handle, and then let go of the brake, and this puts a toothed cog into the brake pedal and stops it from falling down. So that is going to be a major improvement, because I couldn't leave the tractor sit anywhere because it would roll. I'd either have to put the 3-point implement down and hope it held, or put the bucket down and hope it held, because there was nothing to hold the tractor. So now with that replaced brake piece, parking brake, I'll be able to park the tractor and set the brake. The brake is set right now. To undo it, all you do is you push on the pedal, and when you do that, I don't know if you saw it or not, this drops down in. So let me reset it. I'll push on the brake pedal, pull up on the handle, let go of the brake pedal, and this stays up. Not a lot of travel. It only moves maybe an inch at the most, but that's going to be a huge welcome addition. Another addition this weekend, or a replacement, I had to put a new key switch in. It wasn't working quite right, and when I was fiddling with it, it started smoking. So that's never a good thing. It's not a major improvement. I might not even use them, but the 4-ways now work. So I guess if I ever take this down the road, I can turn the 4-ways on. Those didn't work at all when I got the tractor. The fuse was actually, one of the 2 pins was rusted off, or corroded off rather. So that now works. I did put all new LED bulbs in the dashboard. Out here on the hood, you can see this, I'll crush my oil bottle there. This plate here and this plate here, there's a crack in the hood here that was completely broken through. This is where I dropped the brush hog on the hood. It's not broken through all the way, so I didn't worry about that. But this is completely cracked, and this was actually cracked before that happened. And out here in the front, this joint here between the black piece and the blue piece was broken off. Again, it was broken when we bought the tractor. We tried putting JB Weld in there. It held for a little while, but it broke loose again, so I figured just bolt a plate on there, bolt a plate on there, more of a permanent fix. Let's see, what else did I do? Oh, we've already showed you the beginning of the video there with the 3-point arms. There are a few more parts I bought that I haven't put on yet. This is the level bucket indicator rod. Need to put that on. This is a new pin for the bucket, the one that broke when I was changing it. This is a stop for the 3-point arm that goes in the track here, so that you can tighten this down, and it gives you like a stop for your brush hog or whatnot. This was broken when I got the tractor. I need to find the old one because there's a few washers that go in here that I didn't buy. So those will need done. Future plans on this tractor. As you can see, I've got a light bar on there that just has some wires hanging. We're going to get a canopy, and this light bar is going to move out here to the front of the canopy because it works great, but it's behind me, so it shines in the back of my glasses. Makes it kind of hard to drive the tractor. We have a third function hydraulic valve. We'll do a video when that comes in, installing that, because we've ordered a grapple as well. One other thing I did is underneath all these covers is this cylinder. Now on the top of this, you can see the circle there. This is supposed to be a pin that sticks out. When you push down on the pin, it releases this cylinder. When the pin is up, it locks the cylinder. And that is what this handle here does. If you lift up on it, it releases the cylinder and allows this wheel to tilt. Not a big deal, but this has never worked since we got the tractor. And I think you can see these wear marks on this black tube. That's from rubbing across the front of the dashboard here, because the steering wheel was always in the full upward position, because that would not lock. You could push it down and it would spring right back up. So I think from being exposed to the weather, that got rust and so forth and just quit working. The new one, if you can see here, I've got a plastic cover that goes over it that was missing, so hopefully that'll help keep any water out of there to keep that from happening again. There was a lot of cleanup work. This dash part had to come off, these side panels had to come off. Those all got cleaned up underneath because they were in pretty bad shape. But that's pretty much where we're at with the tractor today. I don't think I did anything on this side other than those side panels. And we took the rubber floor mat off and cleaned up underneath it. It was something else underneath that thing. It was horrible. So the tractor's coming along. That was the repairs we did this weekend. I'm sorry I didn't film like the brake pedal or the brake cable replacement or that treadle pedal. It was, you can kind of see where it's at. It's hard to get the camera in there. It was pretty involved work and hunt and peck and broken bolts and so on and so forth. So it really wasn't video worthy or easy to do. So I hope you enjoyed the video on the 3-point lift arms and doing the oil change on it. And if you have a hydraulic leak, maybe you want to check those fittings. Well, I hope you enjoyed our tractor repair video. Sorry I didn't get everything on film, so it was just a little bit too difficult. But if you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. I'd love to talk to you. And as always, have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching.